I'm Elena, in case you don't know that. And I am so very happy and grateful that I can bring you not only new awarenesses, but on top of that, new resources. New resources for you to be able to draw upon. Whenever you feel like you need something, you will have these books. And that's why I started this book club, because there are so many awesome books out there that you, if you know, can say, okay, I'm having a little trouble with visualization. What should I do? And you know from this book club where to go. It's cool. So that's why I decided this was an important book club to start. And I'm glad you could join me. We will have, just so that you know, we will have a chat box towards maybe 15 minutes to the end so that you can ask questions, because I know you might have chat questions. And also on the chat box right now, you should have a link. Click on that link because we are giving you today's book. Ah, there it is. I see it. You can click on that link and you get a whole download of this book. And what book are we doing? We're doing Your Invisible Power by Genevieve Berend. Now, this is a fabulous book. I love this book. It has, oh, well, I'll tell you a little bit about Genevieve. First of all, Genevieve was born in 1881, Paris. I would love to go to Paris. I've never been. And then she moved to the US in 1960. Genevieve was a seeker of truth. She wanted to know the truth of the universe, of her life, spiritually, physically. She was a true seeker. And she went all over the world, everywhere. And she met spiritual leaders of every religion, and she learned. Then she got hold of Thomas Trowell's teachings, and I think he was in England at the time, and she wanted to study with him. And he wasn't totally open to the idea. And this book that we're going to be reading talks about that and how she actually visualized getting to not only meet him, but be able to study with him. And it's a cool story. But she does more than that in this book. But that's one of the things that I find just fascinating. Let me see. Now, if you don't know who Thomas Trowell is, I should tell you, he was the expert of New Thought. It was mystic Christianity, and his teachings are fabulous. We follow them even today. And he talks a lot about visualization. He talks a lot about the power of our mind. Okay, so it just gives you a little bit of a vein of what is going on. But today, we are going to deal with your invisible power. This is very cool. I'm hoping that this book helps those of you who, number one, don't know what visualization is. Some people call it visioneering, visualization, whatever, same thing. And I'm also hoping that those of you who have been visualizing but still find that you're stuck, this can help. This book group can help. All right, this book club. All right, let's get started. I'm very excited. I would like you to open to the first chapter if you downloaded the book. I'm going to read and then we'll talk about it. And by the way, just so that you know, this is how I read in the morning. Every morning I get a book and I read maybe just a paragraph, maybe a chapter, maybe 2 chapters. It all depends. But what I'm doing is I'm studying, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to study. I'm not going to cover everything, but I'm going to point out the things in this first chapter that I think are key for us. All right? Here we go. Your Invisible Power, Chapter 1. The exercise of the visualizing faculty keeps your mind in order and attracts to you the things you need to make life more enjoyable in an orderly way. If you train yourself In the practice of deliberately picturing your desire and carefully examining your picture, you will soon find that your thoughts and desires proceed in a more orderly way. That keeps cropping up, doesn't it? Having reached a state of ordered mentality, you are no longer in a constant state of mental hurry. Hurry is fear, and consequently destructive. Hurry is fear. Hurry is fear. Okay, think about it. When you're in a hurry and your mind is in total chaos, you've got something very important coming up and you're hurrying towards it and your mind is just all over the place. There's no procedure, there's no order to it. It's just all over and you start to get anxiety. You start to get fear. That's what she's talking about. Chaos causes distress. It causes a feeling of I can't do. It causes all these other thoughts to go in our head that we don't need. Fear is destructive. It's not only destructive to our dreams, it's destructive to our bodies. So why do we love order so much? Because order is one of the universal laws. It's the universal law. Look around in nature. Everything is order. Everything goes by an order. You know that the spring is going to come by summer, summer's going to come by fall, fall's going to go by winter. You know that the trees are going to shed their leaves in the fall, and then in the spring right now, they're going to get the new leaves. It is order. We have to have order. We have to have order in our minds. We have to have order in our environment. And then we're also, when we do that, we're working with the law. And we don't have fear. It's amazing how that fear goes away once you train yourself to have the thoughts you need to progress in an orderly way and you visualize. Very cool. In other words, when your understanding grasps the power to visualize your heart's desire and hold it with your will, it attracts to you all things requisite to the fulfillment of that picture by the harmonious vibrations of the law of attraction, which we have talked about. I mean, you hear that everywhere. That's the secret. The law, and Abraham Hicks, there's millions of people who talk about the law of attraction. It takes that order. It takes that strong will. It takes knowing what you want and picturing it. You realize that since order is heaven's first law, yeah, and visualization places things in their natural order, then it must be a heavenly thing to visualize. And yes, it is. It is. Because you are setting an intention. You are linking up with a higher source. And you're setting your desires, your wants, your dreams into motion. Everyone visualizes. We visualize 100 times a day, whether he knows it or not. Visualizing is the great secret of success. The conscious use of this great power attracts to you multiplied resources, intensifies your wisdom, and enables you to make use of the advantages which you normally fail to recognize. I have a little story. When I wanted to be a writer or an author, excuse me, I just love the idea. First of all, I was getting all these tools that I was seeing work with 100 people. I was teaching classes at the time. And everybody I taught the tools to, they were learning. And I was learning even more and more at the time. And I started journaling. And when I started journaling, I thought, my gosh, it would be so nice to be a writer. And with I wouldn't say it was purposeful, but I started visualizing. I started visualizing how it would feel to just be able to sit and write calmly in peace and to get my thoughts on paper and to make them just come alive, and to see people really love what I was writing. And when they read it, they loved it. And they would write in the corners because it would be a book that would be self-development that they would get a lot out of. And so I would see them writing in the corners, and I would see them doing things. Well, one day, I hadn't decided I was a writer yet, though. And one day I was in a coffee house, which I usually hang out in to write. And I was journaling, and I was actually fighting with a computer. And at one point, the guy at the other end of the table started laughing because I was getting very angry with my computer. And he said, "Are you an author? Are you a writer?" And this was interesting. And I looked at him and I said, "Yeah, I am." And he laughed and he said, "So am I." And that began a relationship as far as a teacher-student, because he was a published author who would guide me in the writing process. Who would have thought? That's what I mean. That's what they're saying right here. When you organize your thoughts and you visualize, and sometimes you don't even know you're visualizing. You don't even know. You dream that you're picturing, you're constantly picturing it. Then the conscious use of this great power that you don't even know you have sometimes attracts to you multiplied resources, intensifies your wisdom. What made me say that I was a writer, except that I had been dreaming it, that I had been thinking of it, that I had been picturing it in my mind. I was visualizing. And intensifies your wisdom. I knew that was, I just had to say I was. And enables you to make use of the advantages which formerly failed for you to recognize. Very cool stuff. It is amazing. I will read a little bit of this. I'm going to skip that next paragraph because of time, all right? But I am going to go down a little bit to the bottom. We now fly through the air, not because anyone has been able to change the laws of nature, but because the innovator of the flying machine learned how to apply nature's laws, and by making orderly use of them, produce the desired result. So far as the natural forces are concerned, nothing has changed since the beginning. There were no airplanes in the year 1 because those of that generation could not conceive the idea as a practical working possibility. Now, are you catching some of this? Because this is big. What she's saying is that everything is there. Everything is in what we call the formless place, where you get the energy, but it's all energy. It's all there. The past, the present, the future, it's all there. And that the concept of flying was always there. Somebody just had to get the idea, grasp it, then hold it in their will, place it up there that this is what they wanted, and in time, it comes down into the physical world. That's what she's saying. But it has to be an orderly, all right? It has not yet been done, is what we commonly hear, was the argument, and it cannot be done. Yet the laws and the materials for practical flying machines existed then as now. Troward tells us that the great lesson he learned from the airplane and the wireless telegraph is the triumph of principle over precedent, the working out of an idea to its logical conclusion in spite of accumulated contrary testimony of all past experiences. That means All because something hasn't been done before doesn't mean you can't do it. If you really want to put it in very simple terms. If you take an idea like we do, or like I did as a writer, and you put it into motion by thinking about it, by coming up with why, you internalize it, you feel it, you become it because you're thinking through it. You're thinking through, how will I write? Oh, how wonderful it'll be when I can sit and write peace. How wonderful it'll be when people are reading my book. I'm thinking of an order. I'm putting an order to it. How awesome it'll feel when I see my book in a bookstore or whatever. You see, it's in order. When we take our ideas and internalize, feel that goodness, then think of how, or picture how we want to be with that idea, or what that ideal will look like. That's setting it into motion. And it doesn't matter what other people say. I have to say, when I decided to write, and I was all excited, I had just come back from a mentor, a very powerful mentor, and well, her name was Peggy McCall, and I had met her at an event. Oh gosh, I remember the first time I met her. I was kind of unsure still, and I went up and I said, "Okay, I've got an idea for a book," and she said, "Okay, give me the name." I gave her the title, The Working Cut, and she got that domain right away. And she said, "Tell me about the book." And I told her, and she was so excited for me. She was so excited. And I thought, let me get this off my computer, sorry. I said, and I thought, okay, I can do this. Her excitement and her belief in me made me think, I can do this. I can do this. I'm excited. So I come home all excited. And I called the first person, a very special person at that time. And I called him and I said, "Hey, I'm so excited. I'm going to write a book. I'm really writing it." And you know, the first thing he said was, he said, "Well, why do you think you can write a book?" And I thought about that. I said, "Really?" And he said, "Have you ever written anything before? Have you even written a short story? Have you done any of that?" And I said, "Well, in high school, I won awards for my poetry, and I'm defending myself. Why am I defending myself?" And yet I did. And then he said, "Well, that's not a short story." And I thought, then it clicked in. It clicked in. I thought, wait a minute, I can write a book. Why can't I write a book? And I didn't let him affect. Needless to say, that relationship didn't last very long. But you will get criticism. You will get different people not believing in you. When the Wright brothers had failed at things, when they were trying to make a plane fly, and we'll deal with that in here, I'm jumping ahead, but they had people who watched them and said, "Aren't they silly? Look at them. They think they can fly." And yet they held that vision. They could see it. Anybody with a great idea sees it. They see it in their eye, and you can't talk them out of it because they believe it. They've got the will. Steve Jobs, people say they talked to Steve Jobs. And what did he say? Well, they would always come away from him and say, "Oh man, I was just in Steve Jobs' world." Why? Because as soon as people started talking to him, he'd take them up into that vision. He could see us all holding these mini computers and dialing. And now, these little cell phones, my gosh, they're everything. Everybody loves to have them. It's got everything on there, everything. And it'll probably get more. That was his vision. He put it up there in his desire, his visualization. He kept planning, he kept trying new things. And before you know it, in the physical form, they said, "Yep, it's time." Down it came. It's amazing. All right, let's read on. With such an example before you must, and I did give you a lot of examples, you must realize that there are still greater secrets to be disclosed. Also, that you hold, and this is big, you hold the key within yourself, right within yourself. No one else, you, which to unlock the secret chamber that contains your heart's desire. All that is necessary in order that you may use this key and make your life exactly you wish it to be is a careful inquiry into the unseen causes which stand back of every external and visible condition. Then bring unseen causes into harmony with your own conception, and you will find that you can make practical working realities of possibilities which at the present seem but fantastic dreams. And how do you do that? By your visualization. By your visualization. Neville Goddard even talks about it in an interesting way. Okay, and what they're really and what he talks about and what she's really talking about is the law of visual transmutation, which is the law of thinking. It's one of the universal laws, and how we train ourselves to have the thought process, the visualization, to click into what Neville calls the thinking, the I am, the God, Abraham, whatever you call it, infinite source, divine source. You're going right up there. You're sending this visualization up into that divine place. But you have to also believe it. You believe it in your visualization, and you start becoming it in your physical. And as you do the both, it goes down, it connects with the formless, all the energy in the form, all the past, present ideas, concepts, everything. And it comes down into being in the physical way of being. It comes down into this world. That's how Neville explains it. Whatever we think, we create. It's as simple as that. It's just how strong are you thinking? How strong are you visualizing? A woman came to me in New York City asking for help as she was out of work. I spoke the word of ever-present supply for her and intensified it by mentally seeing the woman in the position she dreamed of, but which she had been unable to make a practical reality. That same afternoon, she telephoned and said she would hardly believe her senses, as she had just taken exactly the kind of position she wanted. The employer told her she had been wanting a woman like her for months. It's funny, I don't know if she's on right now, but I have a client who had started one career, and she had done it because she's a single mom, and she knew she could make it go, and she wanted to make money for her family, but the hours were long, and she couldn't see her kids very much. And in her heart, she had what she really wanted to do. Now, do I know whether she was visualizing? Well, she was probably doing what I always did when I was a writer. She'd see herself decorating maybe, or she would put her order in as she really wanted to do that decorating. She really wanted to be a decorator. That's what she wanted to be. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, she got a call from a company that wants her to decorate. And she didn't put anything out there, but it came to her. I have heard stories like this happen all the time. You just never know how the universe works. That's why you have to keep your eyes open and be wise to take the opportunities. That's what visualization does. Okay? Oh no. Oh, I'm going to skip all this because it's long and time. Time. Oh gosh, yes. All right, I'm going to go down to the bottom because I want to finish this chapter. And I'm going to start with the second to last line on this page. It is said that one of the brothers, this is the Wright brothers, would tell the other, when their varied experiences did not turn out as they expected. Remember I told you the Wright brothers with the planes and how a lot of times they failed? This is what the brother would say. It's all right, brother. I can see myself riding in that machine. And it travels easily and steadily. He's got it just there. He can touch it. Those Wright brothers knew what they wanted and kept their pictures constantly before them. Now, transportation through the air is developing rapidly, and we all feel sure it will be in the near future become as ordinary a method of travel as the automobile. Oh, and yes, it is. All right, now, this little paragraph that's in italics. In visualizing or making a mental picture, you are not endeavoring to change the law of nature. You are fulfilling it. You are fulfilling it. Okay, let me see. I want to go through here. Yeah, you have to understand that we are on this earth because we are here to fulfill a purpose. We really are. Our soul's purpose, our energy's purpose, whatever you believe. But we are spirit, we are energy with a body. And that energy and that spirit are always for expansion and expression, creating and growing. Always. So if you're a person who is doing this, coming home, clicking on the TV, eating dinner maybe to the TV, just trying to forget the day, then you go to bed, you get up, have breakfast, go to work, come home, watch the TV, bed, go, you do that process. That's not where your spirit lies. That is not what you were put on this earth to do. You are put on this earth to grow, achieve, do something special that you were here for. And finding that is just daydreaming, finding that dream. And then you fulfill that purpose. You're working with the law. You're working with the reason why you're here. You're working with God. You owe it to yourself to do this. You owe it to yourself. All right. Okay. I'm watching the time. Your object in visualizing is to bring things into regular order, both mentally and physically. When you visualize that this method of employing creative power, capital, brings your desires one after another into practical material accomplishment, your confidence in the mysterious but unfailing law of attraction, which has its central power station in the very heart of your word picture, becomes supreme. Nothing can shake it. You never feel that it's necessary to take anything from anybody else. And why would you? This is your world. You never, you're planting your own garden. And it's your garden. And you know that all you have to do is visualize it, start acting to it, and it will form your own garden. It doesn't matter that everybody else has a garden. It doesn't matter that everybody else is growing the same flowers as you. There's more than enough for everyone. You just have to put your want, your desire, your purpose up there, and it will supply you. You don't need to take from everybody else's garden. You've got your own you're creating. You have learned that asking and seeking have as their correlatives. I'm screwing that word up, sorry. Receiving and finding. And I even know that word. Oh my gosh. You know that all you have to do is to start the plastic substance of the universe flowing into the thought molds your picture desire provides. All right? So you picture it, and then the universe produces it. Your thought molds are your visualization. Okay? That is chapter 1. Now, I would love, I'm going to see if we can, right now it's only 1:30. What I might do is, since you have the whole book, because I do want to open up, I don't want to go to the next chapter yet, because there's a lot there, especially for people who have never, ever. I want to go to the foreword. There is one page, it's on the second page forward. I think you got it with the book. If you got the book and you've got the same book, it's on page 6. And it's the second paragraph down. Okay. A thing that greater possessions, no matter of kind they may be, will of them bring contentment or happiness, is a misunderstanding. No person, place, or thing can give you happiness. They may give you cause for happiness and a feeling of contentment, but the joy of living comes from within. And I want to let you know that is very key. I've studied that because so many people come to me and ask, how can I be happy? Happiness is a decision, and you find the happiness within yourself by being grateful. When you use things to become grateful, and when you set the visualization into order, and you are already feeling good about who you are, it creates even faster. It comes even faster. It raises your vibration up. You feel like you are more, you're open to more of the ideas. You're open to more of the visualizations. And happiness is a decision. It's a decision. So if you're in a place in your life where you're thinking, okay, I'm visualizing, but nothing is happening, start taking a look, at what you're visualizing and how you're visualizing. Are you really feeling it? I say today, I want $2 million. Okay, I want $2. And then I go about my day. I haven't done anything. I haven't done anything. I haven't done the work. I haven't done internalizing it. How does it feel when I have that $2 million? How does it feel? What will I do with it when I have it? And then, what do I see myself doing to get it? What am I creating? Because money, of course, is a result of something. So, what am I creating? What am I doing? Well, how am I serving to get that? Now, I'm starting to take it, just with those questions, I'm starting to take a vested interest. And I'm happy. I'm already happy. I'm already happy with what I'm doing. I'm happy with my dream. I'm happy with who I think I'm going to become because I'm going to get $2 million. And I'm grateful. I add that gratefulness because I know I'm $2 million. And then through the process of me walking, through the process of getting it, doing the things I need to do to become it, plus visualizing, 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 it'll come. All right? I really do want to open up the chat box because I bet people have questions about this first chapter, or you may have questions about other things. I don't know. But I don't know how to do that. I'm hoping it'll come on really quick here. How do we open this chat box? Guys, can we open? Because I would love to hear your questions. Okay. Is it coming? All right. Okay. Let's see. Chat box. How do I do it? All right. No chat box. Where am I want to know your questions. Who? Well, here we go. Are there any questions? Guys, you've got to open up and let me see because I would love to know. I've got a chat box now. I'm so up. Thank you, Lynn. Do you mean an energy? And I'll tell you, I'll talk a little bit about that. When your energy and you are feeling up and you are feeling good, then your dreams come faster. Not only in the physical form, but your dreams come to you. You when you're happy, you open your mind to possibilities and opportunities that when you're in that vibration of, oh gosh, I'm tired today. This all seems so hard. Life is hard. You can't see opportunities and possibilities then. You can't see the world of the formless. Come up with the ideas. You can't access your daydreaming. So, yeah, I've always been high energy. I've always been pretty much of an optimist. I had a time in my life when I wasn't. But what do I do? If you want to be up, I study, I read. I did exactly what I did with this first chapter. I take it apart and I study it and I bring it into my life. I listen to music I love. I'm very grateful. I do my gratefuls in the morning and at night. And I am very grateful. And during the day, I always make sure that if I see something I like or I come into contact with people I like, I always, or if something, the other day, even in the car, I have to say, I was in a lane and the car in front of me stopped real fast. So, of course, I had to stop real fast. And then behind me, and I think, oh, good, I did that. And then right behind me, I hear, and I'm thinking, oh no, And then that car stopped. And what did I do? I said, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for watching out for my family. Thank you for watching out for me. Being thankful. And that brings you up. And yes, I do see the opportunity, but anybody can do this. Anybody. Are there any other questions? Oh, come on. I know you're out there. I would love to hear questions. No? All right. You're not, and then all this is just piece of cake. You got it. All right. Then you know what? Go on. I'm going to go on for 15 minutes. I'm going to start in chapter 2. I'm going to leave you with one thing. All right. Let me. I think I'll just talk about it. Go to the second chapter in chapter 2. Now, this is going to talk about the picture slide. She's talking about a movie. She calls it the Magic Lantern, which is actually a movie projector. You have to think about the time. Movies were just coming into being, and they had like a camera, and then they would take. This is cool. I'm going to do the first two paragraphs because this is going to tell you how to condense and really focus your visualization. The power within you, which enables you to form a thought picture, which is a visualization, a thought picture, is the starting point of all there is. In its original state, it is the undifferentiated substance of life. It's up there. It's just up there. There's no form to it, not physical. Your thought picture makes the model, so to say. Oh, sorry guys, I thought I lost you. All right. Visualizing things and conditions as you wish them to be is the condensing, the specializing power in you, which might be illustrated by comparison with the lens of a magic lantern, which is one of the best symbols of the imagining faculty. It illustrates the idea of the working of the creative spirit, the infinite one, the I am, on the plane of initiative and selection, or in its concentrated, specialized form in a remarkable, clear manner. Taking your visualization, refining it, focusing it, is like putting it on, well, what she's saying, a reel, like a movie. Very, very directed, very felt, very strong will and sending it up. As I said before, you're sending it up to the creative source. You're sending it up to the creative source. And when you do that, that puts everything into motion because it tells it what it wants. It tells God what you really, really are here for, what it's all about. The picture slides illustrates your own mental picture, invisible in the lantern of your mind, until you turn on the light of your will. Meaning you can have these desires in you. But if you're one of those people who just says, oh no, I had that dream, but I'm just kind of, no, I don't think so. I can't do that. Or I want to sing, but I never sing. You do things, but you don't put the will behind it. You don't put the feeling. You don't put the action. Then it doesn't go there. That is to say, you light up your desire with absolute faith that the creative spirit of you, life in you, is doing the work. By the steady flow of the light of the will on the spirit, your desired picture is projected upon the screen of the physical world, an exact reproduction of the picture slide in your mind. And what she's talking about is faith. All right, we have a few minutes, and I'm going to talk about faith. This is cool. I once went to an event, and I saw this man in the back of the room. And he had asked a question, and I turned around to look at him, and I looked in his eyes, and I thought, oh my gosh, I have to meet him. He's got something I need to learn. I did. I thought, this man has something. So at the next break, I walked over to where he was, and I said, hi, I'm Alena Chapman. Hey, you asked a really cool question. What do you do? I started to talk to him. And he started to talk about his company, which was phenomenal, what he does, of course, serving people. I love that. But then he said, I started this project and then I thought about doing this. And before I know it, it happened. And then I thought about doing this. And I thought, wow, everything he manifests beautifully. So I started asking more. And he said, well, of course it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. I want it. I'm going to start acting on it. I know it's going to happen. What he had, and you could see it in every part of him, is faith. Total faith. Earl Nightingale. No, not Earl Nightingale. Sorry, Napoleon Hill in the Think and Grow Rich. Sorry, wrong one. But Earl Nightingale talked about it too. But in Think and Grow Rich, there is a section on persistence. There's a chapter on persistence. Persistence takes faith. You have to believe. You have to know it's going to happen. And I like to bring up this chapter in Think and Grow Rich because in one line of there, and I'm only paraphrasing, I'm not really quoting, but he says, if you are, it seems like you have your idea and you're walking towards it, and it seems like some unseen force is testing you to see if you're worthy of this ideal. And before you know it, you keep being persistent, you keep going for it, and finally it says, oh, all right, you can have your dream. You've worked hard for it. Okay? That's that so-called persistence. But it takes faith. It takes faith in our idea. It takes faith in knowing. And this is one thing that a lot of us, when we start visualizing, in fact, I can even think of some people who are feeling that their visualization is stuck. It's not stuck. You have to have that undying faith. You have to really, if anything, refine, deepen that visualization. You have to make it so alive, so alive. And when you do that, you're narrowing it, you're specializing it even more. You're sending it up. When I wanted my book to be an international bestseller, all right, I had already written the book. I decided I wanted it to be an international bestseller. Did I have an idea how to get an international bestseller? No, I did not. But I had people that were coaching me. That was good. And then I took my book and I made a humongous cover, just a poster size, and I put it in my room, in my office. This is my office. So I put it in my office. Then I put a wonderful book of, I put a sign saying international bestseller. And I just saw this book as an international bestseller. I recorded myself saying, like I was looking back on my life, and I said, congratulations, Alena. You are doing so fantastic this year. You are now an international bestseller. You have a business that you are creating that helps millions of people learn about these wonderful tools to make their life what they want it to be. And I have this whole 15-minute thing that I listen to every morning. Plus, I would read and study. I just everything to specialize, to constantly make better my visualization, to really feel that faith and internalize that joy and happiness I would feel if it happened. Okay? That's what I was doing. Did I become international bestseller? Yes, of course. Yes, because I put it up there. Of course. But does it take time? Yeah, it does. I didn't get it overnight. I didn't get it the first very second I wanted it. Sometimes we think we're going to get things right away, and we're not. I think there has to be a becoming. As we define this visualization, we really start to become that visualization. Quick story. I have a client wanted a simple goal, but actually it's one of the hardest because it's relationships. He wanted a better relationship with his kids. And so I told him to visualize, to just visualize. Visualize, number one, how every time he saw his children, how he would act with them, how did he want to present himself to the children, and even when he knows of the difficulties or how he knows that they will respond, how will he respond to open that door for them to get closer to him? And so he did it. And I have to say, now he has a wonderful relationship with his kids. Why? Because as he was visualizing, he was becoming. As he was visualizing, he'd see how he was acting. He saw himself being that person who had a great relationship with his kids. I saw myself as being that writer who was an international bestseller. You are becoming. The more specialized you make it, the more detailed you make it, the more you feel it, the more you become the person who brings that desire down from this formless substance into reality. Do you see how that works? Okay. All right, check-in time. A woman came to me for help to cause her husband to return. Ah, this is perfect. Let's read it. She said she was very unhappy and lonely without him and longed to reunite. I told her she could not lose love and protection because both belong to her. So first she has to understand that it comes from within. She asked what she should do to get her husband back again. I told her to follow the great power of intuition and think of her husband as perfectly free and the embodiment of all that a husband should be. She went away quite happy, but returned in a few days to tell me that her husband desired a divorce in order to marry again. Doesn't sound so good. She was quite agitated and had evidently relaxed her will in following the instructions given at a former interview. In other words, she didn't follow through. Again, I told her to hold constantly in her mind that the loving protection of the Spirit of life would guide her in perfect happiness. A month later, she came in and said that her husband had married the other woman. This time, she had completely lost her mental grip. Yeah. I repeated the words for her as before, and she regained her poise. 2 months later, she came back to me, full of joy. Her husband had come to her begging her forgiveness and telling her what a terrible mistake he had made, as he could not be happy without her. They are now living happily together, and she at least learned the necessity of holding her pictured desires steadily in place by the use of her will, and I will add, no matter what the circumstances look like. Okay? All right, guys, I'm going to try and keep this at 45 minutes, and we're a little over. I'll turn on the chat box one more time if we could, and then I'll just see if there's any other questions. But from now on, I'll keep this at 45 minutes. If you have any questions, now's the time. Otherwise, I think we have covered a lot. Today, start thinking, how am I going to really feel this visualization? How can I make this come alive? Maybe I should write it out. Maybe I should sit on my bed at night or in the morning and really picture what I want to happen. I like to do mine in the start of the day so I can see get an idea of keeping my mind open for the opportunities to make it happen. You can do whatever works for you, but then I always work to become it. That's the important thing. The faith and the will. Make it an awesome week, guys. And I love having you here. And hopefully you'll start writing more because I love to answer questions. And I know you've got to have some. All right. Next week we'll cover the second half of this chapter and move on. Have an awesome, awesome week. Bye-bye. Okay.